Hi folks, and welcome back to Business Strategy 101. In the last video, we have explored two different scenarios. The first scenario was try to apply the business strategy tools to a company that has already achieved a strong strategy within its industry. It means that has developed a very clear positioning and value proposition. When we were using the conventional strategy tools like the 5 forces framework, the value chain, the generic strategy, to a company, for example, Ryanair, it was very easy because those tools are very useful when we try to describe an already working strategy. But when we try to use the same tools in order to describe the strategy of an organization that's still looking for a strategy, well, those tools were a mess. We needed to use those tools in a dynamic way. In order of using those tools, we were trying to use them by charting out the different parts, for example, of the 5 forces, and try to see over time how the relationship with our customer was changing, how the relationship with our suppliers were changing. So those tools, in a way, are handy when we have to describe the strategy of an organization that is already successful, but they are kind of difficult to use when we try to describe the strategy of a company that's still looking for a strategy. In order to grasp the concept of business strategy, we need to be very clear on one point. We need to ask ourselves, are we operating within an organization that has already developed a clear strategy, or we are operating within an organization that's still looking for that unique positioning, that's still looking for that unique value proposition? And we need to be very clear about this, because answering this question is the first step in order to understand how to use the tools and the principles of business strategy. And now you might have a question. Why a company that is already successful need to think strategically or need to run strategy session? And that is a very legitimate question. And there are multiple advantages in performing strategy session within an organization that is already successful. But let me here just highlight one point that relates to communication. Imagine you have a very strong strategy, but you're not able to communicate that properly, both internally to your employees and externally to your competitors. Let's get started from your competitors. We said that within an industry, competition shouldn't be zero-sum, which means that a successful strategy is a strategy that targets a part of customers that is being underserved. But if you're doing that, but your competitor believes that you're trying to steal their customers, they will start to attack you, to retaliate. So is you're interested not only developing a strategy, but find a way to communicate that to your competitors. And a strategic session can actually have that aim. How do we communicate our strategy effectively to our competitors? The other advantage of running strategic session is developing the ability of communicating the strategy internally to your employees. We know that an employee that gets the strategy is more likely to be engaged with the strategy of the company. Not only the employee will become more productive. In strategy, we are looking at productivity, but what we are really looking at is what is the contribution that employee can bring to the company that exceeds only manual productivity. We are looking to create engagement and participation. Being able to communicate our strategy both internally to our employees and externally to our competitors, is actually essential in order to achieve a sustainable competitive advantage. In fact, creating a strategy is not enough in order to guarantee the sustainability of our advantage, but is our ability as strategists to communicate the strategy properly that will enable us to maintain that positioning over time. Highlighting the importance of communicating your strategy is one of the many examples that we can use in order to explain that strategy is not only that framework that we can use, is not only a theory that we can use, but actually a strategist is somebody that uses that framework and make it humans. Bring that framework from be something rigid, static, to be something alive, in experience. In fact, if we look at the job of the leaders are those that are able to make strategy feel real, both internally and externally. And is our ability to develop that skill of communicating our strategy to our employees, colleagues, but also to our competitors that will enable us to become better strategists. The reason why even successful organizations that have achieved a strong strategy continuously perform strategy sessions and sharpen their strategic thinking is because we don't live in a static world. Industry change very fast. They shape and reshape themselves. For example, a competitors might take a strategic action within the industry. Maybe new technology empower possible new entrants in the industry. Maybe the bargaining power of suppliers and buyers is changing. Therefore, there is a constant need for any organization to continuously perform strategic sessions in order to monitor what is happening within its industry.